be still. It's right with you. You don't have to really go anywhere. Just be alone. Just be quiet. Because the magic, that's in the silence. You'll see the magic. You'll hear the magic. You'll feel the magic if you'll just be still. And believe me, I do know what I'm asking when I say just be still. Because that was my number one hurdle to get over. And because I had that hurdle, it was a block. Couldn't make it over it for quite a long time. Because being double-mindedness and lazy-mindedness, as I said, something that I suffered quite a bit. But the point is, if you don't give up, if you don't stop, you make it. That's it. You have to stick with it. You have to stand to see the victory you're looking for. It's with you. That's it.
And as you were saying, the stand, and there's also the phrase that says, stand and see the victory of the Lord, or the salvation of the Lord. And what you're telling them, and like you said, it's not easy at first, and maybe start in smaller increments. Maybe instead of 30 minutes, maybe start off with 3 to 5 minutes. Start there. What you're telling them mostly is to be consistent.
I'm sorry. I said, how about 30 seconds?
Hey, for some folks, that's a lifetime. For some folks, that's a lifetime.
Hey, when I made a minute, I had a celebration. When I actually had a minute and I got a revelation, I knew exactly how to do it. It's just be patient with yourself. I mean, that is your number one priority right now, because if you're not being patient with yourself, you don't hear it. You don't feel it. And if you don't feel it, it's not yours. You have to feel it. I have arrived. Whether there's any evidence or in the environment, it is in you, because it's as you think you are.
Absolutely. And with that being said, the thing is, in going into the silence, sometimes what you may take in there with you is a thought. And it may be something that you've heard. Maybe you've heard from Lindell, you've heard from Neville, you heard from some other speaker, you read in Scripture. Sometimes just take that in there with you and just kind of be still with it. Let it marinate, as I've stated before. Let it just kind of marinate in your mind. See what God brings forth. Because a lot of times with Scripture, sometimes I'll read a particular Scripture and I've read it 100 times, but I'm looking for something more. And I know that what I'm seeing is not always fully what's being said. And I'll kind of begin to meditate on that word, whatever it is. I'll release it.
Actually, what it is that as you're saying it, you see, you're identifying it. See, what has your attention has your life. So as long as you're focused on it, then that's what has your life. So it's like I said to those 3 fellows that showed up that were going to tell me about Jesus Christ. And I asked him the question, can you choose the next thought that you think? And they kind of looked at each other, and the one guy said, well, yeah, I can choose what next thought I think. I said, well, I got a suggestion for you. Don't stop. And they just looked at each other and they said, well, have a nice day, you guys.
I'm surprised that one of them didn't come back and knock on your door and say, what did you mean by that, sir? But they missed out on the opportunity in not asking the question.
Well, that's it. You drop little breadcrumbs, and if they pick up on it, well, then you follow through. But if they don't, then you move on.
Yeah.
And yeah. I picked up that strategy actually from, I can't think of his name right now.
Here it come.
Yeah. Joel Osteen.
Joel Osteen.
Osteen, yes, right.
Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
I like to say the gentleman out of Houston. I was almost tempted to say the TV evangelist, but that's not what he is. He just happens to be on TV. He's really a passionate man. So you got that from Joel.
So it's like I said, you're feeling around for what suits you in your best mood, your best looking forward attitude, because you see, all the help you need is right with you. It's nearer than your DNA, closer than hands and feet. So it's really right with you. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to bother anybody at all. The information is being given to you that you choose to do so, or you choose not to do so. And that's all that's really happening here. We're giving you the information, and we're giving it to you from first-person present tense experience. So if you use it, wonderful. If you don't, you will sooner or later. So, but why wait? Yeah, I mean, what are you waiting for? You see, the thing of it is that there's really no such thing as death. There's nothing transforming in death. Yeah, you get another body, but it's an ongoing. In other words, nothing changes until you change. Everything goes with you mentally as you think you are, still ongoing, as it has been since the beginning. You have been choosing your route day by day, moment by moment, unaware that you're doing so. And since you're unaware you're doing so, well, you can't change it. So become aware of what you're actually saying to yourself so you can change it. Because if you don't change it, it's same old, you're judging by appearances, and you're told not to do so. So, there it is. You're told not to do so. That sounds like do so.
Exactly what it sounds like. The thing that we are told not to do is the thing that we want to do. Don't eat of that tree over there. But the rest of the trees in the garden you can have for food or whatever, but don't eat of that one. Which one are we going to go to? The exact one that we're told not to eat of. But the thing is, we're all, whether we understand it or whether we recognize it or not, we're all expert manifestors. Now, the problem is we may not be manifesting the thing that we want because, of course, we haven't taken time to go into the silence to begin to imaginational control and attitude awareness. But we all, each day, are manifesting according to our predominant thoughts. So we're all doing this. We're just not conscious of doing it. What we're saying is be more aware.
Well, a time slot is always being prepared for you. And every word that you're using is preparing that time slot. And that time slot's maybe the next moment, maybe a week, a month, however long, according to how you think about time, which is really irrelevant generally most of the time. But thinking feelingly is a sign to or a model to subconscious mind, and subconscious mind will produce your world from that model, whether it's good or otherwise, because it's never going to question you. It's only going to produce your world according to as you think you are, and that was its duty, and that was God not knowing what you're actually doing, even though he's doing it with you. I suffer with you, but you behold me not. That kind of says it, doesn't it?
It does. It does, and when you're speaking about the model, it made me think about Moses. When Moses had went up into the hills, the higher place of consciousness, God reminded him when he came down, he said, build it according to what it was that you saw in the hills, in the high place. And we're all, subconscious mind, as Lindell was stating, can only reproduce what it is that you've given attention to feelingly. It can't do otherwise. You can say with your words one thing, but whatever it is that you're imagining in your imagination, as has been stated, is going to win out 100% of the time. So you better watch what it is that you're giving your attention to.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be something to really watch on. And you know, the thing of it is that actually, if you're being honest with yourself, that's another hurdle. But if you're being honest with yourself, you'll see it quickly. But if you're kind of making up justifications, reasons, excuses, well, then it just prolongs the process, because it is a process you go through. In other words, you have to start cleaning the house. And that's what Jesus did when he went into the temple and cleaned the house. He was cleaning out his own mind, because, you know, you're dealing with people who are talking negative 90% of the time, and they don't even realize it. And so he gets his mind clear by cleaning out, and that's what we're supposed to do. The unexamined life isn't worth living, we're told. I mean, I heard that 50 years ago, I'm sure. But yet, it took a long time for me to actually fulfill the things that I was learning. You have to trust God, because he's told you, I'm with you always. I will never leave you. If he's telling you he's never going to leave you, that sounds like immortality to me.
Absolutely.
In many cases, I've stumbled across it again and again and again, that what he's telling you is that we're together in this all the way down the line. So it's always up to you. If you want to start enjoying life, start enjoying life. That's all there is to it. I mean, you have to do it.
Speaking of suffering, you often say that there's nothing transforming in death. And some of you would hear, well, that sounds like reincarnation to me. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. One thing that we know in being created in the image and likeness of God is that spirit is eternal. And spirit returns to the source in which has given it, which is God. So we're continuously being, as it were, reborn. We're not talking reincarnation, though. It's not like a do-over. What you get in this, when we understand who we are, is Scripture says that he who dies with a certain mindset will still have that same mindset. A lot of times we're being told that, oh, once I get to heaven, I will no longer do this, or I won't do that, or I won't do this. No, you will. You will, because you take that same energy until that energy is transformed. So a lot of times what we see with children early on, we begin seeing a disposition. And we're thinking to ourselves, how did this child have this disposition? Where did they get this attitude from? The mother doesn't have that attitude. The daddy doesn't have that attitude. That child is bringing that disposition that is carried in that energy of its, I'll say, use DNA. So when we talk about nothing being transforming in death, today is the day of salvation. We have to begin renewing our mind now. There's no other time except now. Would you agree?
Actually, that's it. He tells you now is the appointed hour of turning around. That's what he tells you. You turn to me, I'll turn to you. If God turns to you, what's your problem? See, that the whole thing is that, first of all, you have to ask yourself, what do you believe? I mean, what do you really believe? And what you do believe is what you're experiencing. And if what you're experiencing is not what you want to believe, well, then believe different. You've been changing your beliefs since you were a little child. You say you can't change what you believe, but you do so almost daily. Change your mind, change your world.